I mean, this was we had Nick Okinis, who Jhoon Rhee had, and the backstory, by the way, of how the martial arts business developed is really, to me, fascinating because Pat Burleson had a couple of guys who were with the Fred Astaire Dance Studio Organization.
Hmm.
And they taught Pat Burleson the business operations for these ballroom dance schools, right? And he brought in his instructor, Jhoon Rhee, and he brought in Ed Parker and taught Ed Parker and Jhoon Rhee these business operations methodologies from Fred Astaire Dance Studios, right? Jhoon Rhee then goes back to Washington, D.C. and says, okay, the dance studio guys know what they're doing. So he looked for somebody that he could bring in to help him. And that's how he found Nick Okinis, because Nick Okinis had been the district manager for Arthur Murray Dance Studios in Washington, D.C. And then he had a chain of Art Linkletter Totten Dance Studios. And so Jhoon Rhee finds Nick, hires Nick. And so now he has this in-house consultant who has an extensive dance studio business who helps him develop. And of course, if you look at West Coast, East Coast, pretty much anybody in Taekwondo from Texas, Oklahoma, or then from Washington, D.C. and outward somehow spouted out of Jhoon Rhee. And then anybody in Kempo on the West Coast spouted out of Ed Parker. So those two organizations. And frankly, then you had Pat Burleson move to L.A. and helped Joe Louis sell his share of the martial arts school that was jointly owned with Bob Wall to Chuck Norris. Mm-hmm. And then he taught Chuck Norris and Bob Wall the Fred Astaire systems and helped them develop schools throughout LA. So it's interesting how it kind of evolved. And the root source was Pat Burleson back in the day in the early 60s.
Well, if that hadn't happened, my instructor was a student of Pat Johnson and Chuck Norris and ran a school in Sherman Oaks, California.